then, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Downtown Business Improvement District. Business Improvement District, Julian?
Yes, so and it keeps failing, so I'm just kind of cruise through it. 80% of those respondents were just citizens wanting to voice, their perspectives of the downtown, and I'll go through that. We had a total of 43 property owners or business owners located in the business improvement. List the services from most important to least. The most important that all the respondents believed were important, and those are property owners and business owners. Number 1 was cleaning services. Number 2 was security, and this is in order of priority listed. 3 was marketing and promotion. 4 was economic development. 5 we had a couple of responses there as the last. The other question, how important is it for the Downtown Laredo Business Improvement District to provide cleaning services over .2 from the respondents? How satisfied are you with the current marketing and promotion efforts of Downtown Laredo? The average response was 3.9 out of 10, so obviously very low. How satisfied are you with the current security in Downtown Laredo? The average was 3.3, so even lower than the previous. How satisfied are you with the current parking in Downtown Laredo? And the average response to that was 2.5. The next question, how satisfied are you with the current lighting in Downtown Laredo? Average is 3.6. So overall, a lot of from the most important to the least important. Now this section is in reference to not the property owners, but specifically the business owners, which are the smallest group in this survey. Cleaning services were number 1, security was number 2, marketing and promotion was number 3, economic development number 4, parking was number 5, lighting 6, and other was the last. Downtown Laredo, current marketing and promotion Downtown Laredo, average was 2.9. How satisfied are you with current parking in Downtown Laredo? 3.5 was the average rating out of 10. How satisfied are you with the current security in Downtown Laredo? The average was 3.2. How important is it for Downtown Laredo Business Improvement District to provide cleaning services? The average response was 7. Selecting 10, very important. So this was the interesting part. So we included this in our survey because we figured there were going to be people that wanting to voice their opinion of the downtown. So the first question, how often do you visit downtown? 35% of the group said rarely, 27% said weekly, 18% said monthly, 16% said daily, and 3.8% said never. I was pleasantly surprised that it seems like just on, if you include the whole monthly gap, what is your overall perception of downtown? This is not going to be good. So the options were negative, very negative, neutral, positive, and very positive. The biggest percentage was negative at 44%. The next biggest was very negative at 24%. 19% said neutral. 9.7% said positive. 1.6% said
view of downtown.
9.7 with very positive, you had that in there. Yeah, that's about 12 plus the neutral. You're like 2/3 were basically negative or very negative. What are the main reasons you visit downtown? So 64% said shopping, 31% said events, 24% said entertainment, 23% said work, 17% said dining, and then 14% said other. I can't dive into that because this is somewhat locked up right now. They were allowed to write in their reasonings there, and I'll get that once I have a chance. The next question is, what prevents you from visiting downtown more often? This one I found pretty interesting because the number one, so 70, the next biggest selection, so they could select as many as they wanted. The next biggest selection was dining options at 60%. 5% of respondents said know where to park or where to find parking. That leads people to believe there is no parking. So I do know TERS has taken on some initiatives on that front.
Around the Center for the Arts, we have diagonal parking, and it looks really great.
It looks good. It looks better than the typical parallel.
So I'm looking at some of the other plazas so we can implement. It's already, most of those are zoned still for diagonal, so hopefully we'll have a few more.
I think it's one lane and have angled parking in the evening, and this would open up a better use for our buildings that we have off of Convent and everything to the east and west of Convent. I think it'd be a very big plus. And as far as like what Julian said, I definitely agree. If we have ample parking, you know, that called me up that's across from you. I think they've talked to you on Lincoln in between Salinas and Convent. There's a group that purchased the parking lot there, and they have nowhere to park. And so what he was talking to me about is that we're gonna have to close this business down because we have no parking. So it's important, that's important. Signage is very important for our downtown.
This, how safe do you, so the next question was, how safe do you feel when visiting the downtown? 28% said somewhat unsafe.
Horrible, Julian. I know you had good intentions there, but with your people.
Travel downtown, I don't think it's gonna be a shocker to anyone. 93% said by car, and then 4.9% said walking, which to me tells me there's obviously some respondents that live near the downtown. 0.5% said bike, 0.5 public transportation, 0.5 said rideshare, and 0.5 said other. What amenities would make your visit to downtown more enjoyable? The biggest response was cleaner streets and public spaces. The next biggest follow-up was better lighting. The third was more public seating areas. Fourth was improved signage and information. And then there's about 55 respondents on other, so I need to break into that. I really wanted to include this question because it's always interesting to hear what the consumer wants versus what, the businesses want. Because obviously the businesses want to bring consumers, and so we need to make sure that we are catering to those consumers in order to bring them downtown. Okay. Respondents were between the age of 25 and 34. Another 25 were between 25 and 34, and then another 25% were between 35 and 44. 15% were between the age of 45 and 54. 13% between 55 and 64. 9% were between the ages of 18 and 24, which would possibly explain why the bar thing was. So 1.6%, 3 respondents were under the age of 18. 30%
with that being said, I think that's very, very important, because my spiel, what I've had, is that we have and if I start talking, just kick me, okay, but what I'm seeing is that within the next couple of years, we have a real big transformation happening in our downtown area. As far as I'm concerned with the outlet mall, and what I see with our retail customers, there's certain items that it's just not gonna sell anymore in our downtown area. Will always be popular will be cigars, cigarettes, wine, alcohol, perfumes. Everything else you find in Mexico. It's already there. It's already there. What you don't find is what we have at the outlet right now. And I think that as far as your numbers are concerned, as far as the stats of people coming into the downtown area, it's predominantly 78045, what we get down there, and of course the south. But I think what's really, really important is the transformation of what we're gonna see with our buildings here. And I overemphasized this morning the word variance, you know, as far as we have to give a little. The city has to give a little as far as our building department and codes and what have you, but anyway, I won't talk anymore. Go ahead. Sorry, Julian.
No,
Remember, I'm ADD, ADHD, and these things come out.
that concludes my presentation, so if anyone else would like to make a comment on the survey results, like I said, I'm gonna be blasting it out once I can
It's
unlock
great.
this.
That's
Yeah,
great.
Thank you for all that. I'd be interested, and I know you had a question there asking for property ID and address. When we had 43 property owners, to know how many properties that represents, because, you know, having 43, when we only have about 300 commercial buildings in the district, tells me we're already at, you know, basically 1/6 before you add those that own multiple properties. So this survey could represent as much as a third, let's say, of the property owners.
Very
for the-
true.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, that really demonstrates how, you know, to me, important.
It's a decent sample size, and so we did require, if you said that you owned a property or business, that you have to give the address,
Mhm.
so that we can confirm, you know, the owner, so your name and address and phone number and email, so we have that. That won't be made public, but I have that information to confirm all that. And then, once I filter all that, we'll have a solid.
Now, did we get any, I know we had maybe mailed out some handwritten or, you know, hard copies. Did we receive any written responses? Do we know?
If they would have submitted, so what was mailed out was for individuals, it was a link to the survey
Mm-hmm.
or a QR code, so if individuals responded to those, it would have come to
Open to
this.
them.
Yeah, I would have gotten the results here.
Okay.
But there's no way for me to determine how they landed on this.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure there weren't any other responses out there for me.
And Julian, did you reach out to the property owners?
Through a letter, the city assisted us by sending a mailer to all the property owners.
So we're hopeful that those 43 are actually from the downtown area, or not residents, you know? Because I would assume that from those 43, we still have residents who live in the area, right, that could have answered.
So in the survey that was sent out, that I do need to confirm those things, but we purposely included a map of the boundary and basically said that you have to reside in, like, if you're outside of this boundary, then you don't count as a property owner in this. So it's possible that someone somewhere near, but not in the boundary, responded, and that's why I need to go in there and just confirm all the addresses that were submitted.
Any other questions or comments on the survey? Thank you, Julie. Next up, action item 6A. In your packet, you should have an email around was a draft resolution. So this item is discussion with possible action to approve resolution 2024-01, authorizing the creation of a nonprofit corporation to assist and act for the district in implementing projects, providing services and all other matters incident thereto. Yeah, that resolution we prepared, the bid has the authority to create a nonprofit corporation to assist in an implementation. And probably the most important at present, as the bid grows, as, hopefully assessments and monies come in, it'll be more important to maintain the nonprofit. But in the near term is, there are several grants that are out there that we as a bid, because we don't have a nonprofit status, wouldn't necessarily qualify for. So what we'd like to do, and what I've sought through this resolution is approval from the board, begin the process of creating that. That requires some legal documentation to be drafted. We have to come up with some names for the board members. But the notion would be that over the next couple of weeks, we can pull together that documentation, come up with the board members for that nonprofit, and begin applying for grants, as well as being able to receive private donations. And with nonprofit status, private benefactors much more willing to donate money than it is to a government committee.
And we have issues with getting money for the summit for that reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the hope is that by having this nonprofit status, that we'll be able to attract some private donors. We've already had some private parties interested in helping support downtown. And so the notion would be to approve the resolution that we've drafted now, and we will begin the process of engaging council to make sure that we have those documents drafted up, and we come up with a list of board nominees that we can consider at our next meeting. Those board nominees are not, we will make those recommendations in September, and then either later in September or in October, we would need them to take those appointment recommendations to city council for approval, because the city council would approve any nominations to that nonprofit board.
So that will be a separate board altogether, right?
Yes. Now, in theory, well, not in theory, and hopefully in practice, there's gonna be overlap with the bid, the TERS, and other of the interested individuals downtown,
Mhm.
so that, we can kind of draw upon those experiences of everyone and get input from others for the nonprofit.
Motion to approve resolution number 2024 R-001 as written.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a motion to second. Any further discussions or questions? Happy to answer.
Provision of what type of services? I get
So,
what you're talking about, the grants and things like that.
so once the plan comes around, and I'll get you this, Jack, is the services that the bid would, we as a bid board are volunteers or whatnot. We would create this nonprofit, which hopefully will have a staff, an executive director and a staff. Then they would do the hiring, or the staff would do the cleaning the streets
Okay.
and the cleaning, or the security sort of steps that hopefully our plan will implement. over the
Okay,
years.
gotcha.
Any other thoughts, questions?
No?
Hearing none, I have a motion to second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Ms. Torres, if you could sign one version of that as the secretary, and then we'll sign as
I
the chair.
wrote on mine, so let me sign on this one.
And we'll get copies made of that, and that way we'll have that for our records. Next up is action item 6B. I don't think there'll be any action because I have not finished the initial draft of that plan. Told several people I've got a large stack of our prior reports that we conducted as a city or as other groups of services groups and improvements that can be made downtown. I'm trying to make sure that our service plan provides an overview of everything that's been done, that's led us to this point, and all of the reports and recommendations of experts that we've paid a lot of money for that have recommended the creation of the bid, the work on parking, work on signage and whatnot. So I'm really trying to tie that all together so that when we then as a board, go out to the public, go out to business owners, or go this is a ground up sort of effort and the culmination of years of work by various individuals. So, I'm hoping to have that finished early next week and get that around. I would like, if possible, to meet on Tuesday, September 10th, if that works with folks. That's all I have on that. Any questions or comments? I still got everybody's feedback from earlier, so I'll make sure we work in so much of that. Next up, announcements. For those who don't know, TERS broke ground on Friday for its first street improvement down here in Zaragoza. It's great to see dirt turning. And it's the first step, and I believe that work will be completed by Thanksgiving. The contractor had 120 days, and they started at the end of July, first week of August. So it could be
Which block of Zaragoza?
basically between the pedestrian bridge and La Posada.
Got it, okay.
And the city also approved an additional,
Oh, yes, the city has approved, as part of the budget process, a $1.5 million grant of money to the TERS for next year. Budget's not finalized, so I'm gonna knock on wood when I say that, but.
For trees?
For trees?
So that's hopeful, that the TERS did a presentation, in early August. It was well received by city council, and then when they went to the budget meetings, they came back with 1.5 million. So hopefully, once we get through October, that will be, in the budget. So that will help, the flexibility with the TERS and what they can do.
okay.
Any other announcements?
Yeah, I'd like to start this meeting all over again.
That'd be great.
So next meeting, September 10th, right?
Yes.
5:30.
5:30.
Perfect.
I like where this is going. This creates a wonderland of opportunities for everyone.
It's the goal.
Yeah.
Is it high tide raises all ships? Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion, second.
Second.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all so much.